If you ask me the favorite weapons I like to use the most, I will always say Kitguns. Kitguns is a weapon that you can acquire in the very early game, yet their power can not just only cheese through the whole base star trap missions, but if you're willing to invest into it, they can even going through the steel path contents. Because of how strong and how uniquely they are, I will always feel so attracted to them, and until right now, I'm still not able to stop using them. So why not we look through how do I make my own Kitguns and how do I use them? So without further ado, let's hop right into it. I remember when I was a beginner, when I tried to create a Kitgun, the very first problem you will always encounter is the short of resources. That's because if you want to create a Kitgun, you cannot just build it. Instead, you need to buy the blueprint of each part. And if you want to craft those parts, you need a lot of resources. Because if you check on all the resources they require, most of them are the ores, fish power, etc. from the open worlds. Because of how hard it is to acquire certain resources from open worlds, this will take some time. For example, the very famous part we will always need to use is the Splat Loader. Splat requires 40 Auraxium alloy, where Auraxium alloy can be crafted by using Aurum. But if you know about Aurum, it's a rare ore acquired from Cetus. Because it's a rare ore, you will always need to put a lot of time into it to try to mine those ores. When you're trying to mine those resources, you may need to cross finger hoping that they will drop to you. Otherwise, maybe after around some time, you may still end up empty-handed. What a good memories then. Now, after you acquire all the resources that you have successfully built all the parts you need, we now jump into the next step. How to create a Kitgun. As a beginner, I could tell that most people were quite afraid at how to create a Kitgun because there's so many to choose from. A lot of grips, a lot of chambers, and a massive amount of loads. How do we go for? Well, here is the thing. Because when you try to create a Kitgun, your first intention was trying to create a Kitgun that has the highest DPS as possible. So, if we try to base on this skill, then we can follow a golden ratio, which is using the Tremor or Haymaker based on whether it's primary or secondary grade, and pair out with the Splat Loader, which provide an increased magazine and highest critical chance. This golden ratio is the best build you can try to create for almost all Kitguns. The reason why not all Kitguns can use this golden ratio build is because not all Kitguns are the same. Projectile Kitguns will scale based on damage or fire rate based on the different groups you use. But for beam weapon, it will be the difference between damage and range. Because of how different it is, you cannot expect that the golden ratio can be applied to the beam weapon, because when you apply to this, beam weapon will give you the highest damage, which somehow can be acceptable, but it will also based on my preference whether do I need the extra range or not. So this golden ratio can be good, but sometimes can be changed a little bit. And not all projectile weapons can use this golden ratio as well. For example, for the Rattle Guts Kitguns, it is true that for projectile weapon you want to increase the maximum DPS through increase the damage. But because fire rate can affect the DPS of projectile weapons as well. That's why for Rattle Guts Kitguns, it is also acceptable if you change the Tremor or Haymaker into the highest fire rate, which is the Brash and Gilbert grade. No matter it's primary or secondary Kitguns, I really recommend these weapons because this is by far the best Kitguns. I think it is useful for both Star Trek and the Steel Path runs. For secondary, I would recommend you to go with Catchment or Tonefinger because these two will be the main single shot DPS weapon. The difference is that Tonefinger more focused on precise single shot, while Catchment allow you to have a shorter range but much larger hitbox, which increase your area hitbox. Other choices will be the Gaze, because Gaze is a big weapon that can scale very well with the Galvanized CO, so this will always work. Or maybe if you access the Deimos Chamber, you can go with the Spore Laser build. Spore Laser explosion damage just shred through everything. Otherwise, if you want to go with primary weapon, then I highly recommend you go with the tone figure primary Kitguns. That's because the primary tone figure Kitguns allow you to charge your shot and do an explosive AoE damage. It is like the early game AoE weapon. Aside from tone figure primary Kitguns, you can also go with the beam weapon, which is the gaze primary, or a better one, which is the Vermisplicer primary Kitgun. Especially Vermisplicer is much better as a primary Kitgun that can connect to lots of enemies at once with just a single tentacles. I would say that this is much better. So there you have it. I would really say that Kitguns is really a weapon that it is so underrated yet powerful enough that they can do anything. Especially it's a very early game weapon that you can acquire. It's just that you need to spend in a lot of resources so that you can create something that is really worth the shots. But most people just thinking that they should have a weapon that they naturally have high power. That's why they just pick certain builded weapons such as the Kuva or the Tenet weapons because those can immediately farm right away. But for Kitguns, they need to build, they need to craft, they need to add extra stuff, not to mention that you need to guild as well. But I can tell you, if you ignore all these problems, I could say that Kitguns will never disappoint you. Look at me right now, I still use Kitguns right now and I never stop using it. What can you say to me, huh? If this is your first time watching, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel so that you won't miss out any newest contents from me. Why not leave your comments down below if you got any ideas or thoughts you want to share with all of us. And that's it from me, and as always, I will see you all next time. Bye bye!